This is where we really get into the weeds, don't we? We go beyond the surface level
You
stuff.
do, trying to pull out those core insights.
Exactly. Insights you can actually use. And today, we're tackling something pretty crucial. The real foundations of effective leadership. Forget the buzzwords for a minute.
Yeah, what really makes leadership stick? What makes it sustainable?
Our source for this is excerpts from Foundational Principles for Effective Leadership. And our mission, really, for you listening, is to pull out 2 rules, maybe overlooked rules.
Could be. Things that can genuinely shift how you lead.
Yeah, think of it as a way to quickly grasp what effective, sustainable leadership actually looks like, whether you're heading up a huge company or, just leading yourself.
And it's not just theory, right? These principles, they're practical. They give you a real path to building stronger leadership, more resilient leadership.
So applicable across the board then.
Yeah.
Big projects, small teams.
Absolutely. Or even just navigating your own career. It's
Yeah.
about that foundational strength, not just quick wins.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this then. Let's dive straight in. The first big idea we're looking at is leadership rule, #19. It says, there is no point in focusing on structure without a foundation to support it.
Simple statement, but deep.
Right. So just take a second and think about that. Why is that invisible foundation, the stuff you can't easily point to? Why is it so much more important than the visible structure, the org chart, the project plan?
The things everyone sees and often celebrates.
Yeah. Why is the unseen bit often harder to get right and, well, ultimately more critical? What's going on under the hood?
Well, the source really hammers this home. It says, true strength lies not in the visible structure, but in the invisible foundation. It forces you to look deeper.
So it's not about how fancy the building looks from the outside.
Not primarily, no. Think about any major success, a breakthrough company, a scientific discovery, whatever. We see the outcome, the structure, but the source argues the real strength, the durability. It's in that groundwork. Stuff done beforehand.
Stuff that isn't glamorous, maybe?
Often not. The authors say, before erecting the edifice of success, leaders have to diligently craft the underlying framework that sustains it. Diligently craft. That sounds like hard work.
It implies patience, too, doesn't it? Not rushing.
Exactly. Strategic patience. Asking, will this hold up when things get tough? When the market shifts? It's a clear directive. Prioritize the patient work of building foundations, because that's where the ambitious stuff will actually stand tall.
So investing in things that might not pay off immediately?
That's the core idea. Long-term viability over short-term flash. Without that deep work, the structure is just, well, fragile.
That really hits home. You see it all the time, don't you? Organizations jumping to the shiny new thing.
Oh, constantly.
Like maybe a huge product launch, amazing marketing, but oops, the support team isn't ready, or the internal processes can't handle it.
Yeah, the visible structure, the product is there, but the operational foundation is shaky or missing parts.
Or bringing in a team of absolute stars, right? But no one spent time building trust or clear ways to communicate.
Another great example. That visible talent structure looks amazing. But the human foundation, the psychological safety, it's just not there. It crumbles under pressure.
So what makes up that strong, invisible foundation? The source seems to hint at a few things, like clarity of purpose.
Definitely. Everyone knowing the why, not just the what.
And psychological safety feels huge. That sense that it's okay to speak up, to mess up even.
They're crucial. Otherwise, you get silence. Or worse, people hiding problems.
Then there's robust communication, not just emails flying around, but real flow, real feedback loops.
Yeah, information actually getting where it needs to go and people listening.
And maybe shared values, like a common compass guiding decisions when things get tricky.
That underlying how we do things around here that actually holds true, neglect any of those.
And you're building on sand, basically, no matter how good the plan looks.
Precisely. It's about foresight, stability. You can't just paint over the cracks.
Which I think leads us perfectly into the second rule, because if what we build underneath is so vital,
then the who is doing the building matters just as much.
Exactly. The leader themselves. So rule #22 states, the best inspection is introspection.
Ah, yes. Looking inward.
Now, introspection, it can sound a bit passive, maybe, like meditating, but the source implies something more rigorous.
Oh, much more. It's not just quiet reflection, though. That can be part of it.
So how does this self-inspection make a leader actually better at laying those foundations we just talked about, that patient, diligent work?
It's absolutely fundamental. The source says leaders must courageously examine our own biases, strengths, and weaknesses. Courageously, that's the key word.
Meaning it might not always be comfortable.
Probably not. It's an active process, facing uncomfortable truths about yourself sometimes. Without that honest self-look, a leader is basically working with huge blind spots.
Like an architect who doesn't realize they always design lopsided buildings because of some unconscious habit.
Exactly. They might compromise the whole project without even knowing it. Introspection helps reveal those hidden tendencies.
And it shapes the team's culture too, presumably.
Hugely. The authors connect it to fostering self-awareness, accountability, and continuous improvement. That last one, continuous improvement, makes you think of Kaizen, right?
The Japanese philosophy from manufacturing.
That's the one. Toyota Production System. Constant, small improvements everywhere, by everyone. An introspective leader isn't just aware of flaws, they're actively working on them, continuously.
So they model that behavior. Accountability starts at the top.
Precisely. It creates an environment where growth isn't just encouraged, it's expected. For everyone, including the leader, it builds momentum.
Okay, let's break down those specific benefits the source mentions, because they really show the power of this. First up, enhanced self-awareness. What does that really mean for a leader day to day?
It means knowing your triggers, like realizing you get defensive when challenged on certain topics.
Or maybe that you tend to avoid difficult conversations.
Right. Or understanding your core values and how they drive your decisions, sometimes unconsciously. Knowing yourself lets you manage your reactions, see things more clearly, act with less ego. It changes how you interact with everyone.
Okay, that makes sense. Then, improved decision-making. How does knowing yourself help you make better calls? Seems linked to bias.
Definitely. We all have biases. Confirmation bias is a big one, looking for info that backs up what we already think.
We all do that, yeah.
An introspective leader knows this tendency exists, so they actively fight it. They seek out different views. They question their first assumptions. They look at the data more objectively.
So less chance of being blindsided because you only listen to the people who agreed with you.
Exactly. Decisions become broader, more reality-based.
Then there's increased empathy. Why does looking inward help you connect outwards?
Well, when you've honestly wrestled with your own stuff, your own fears, your insecurities, your drives.
Like fear of failure, maybe?
For sure. Or maybe the need to always be right. When you see that in yourself, it's much easier to recognize and, crucially, validate it in others. You get the human condition a bit better.
So you can relate to your team on a deeper level.
Yes. And that builds trust, strengthens relationships, which, hey, loops right back to building that strong, invisible foundation.
It all connects. Okay, last one. Better stress management. How does introspection help with the sheer pressure of leadership?
Leadership is tough, no question. Introspection helps you pinpoint why you're stressed. Is it unrealistic self-expectations? Are you taking on everyone else's anxiety?
Identifying the real source, not just the symptom.
Right. Once you understand the root cause, you can find healthier ways to cope. You can set boundaries, prioritize your own well-being. And a leader who isn't frazzled
Is a much better anchor for the team when things get rough.
Absolutely. They guide through the storm. They don't get swept away by it.
So this really puts a question out there for you listening, doesn't it? Knowing all these benefits, the self-awareness, better decisions, empathy, handling stress, how often do you actually make time for that courageous introspection?
Is it a real practice? Something structured?
Yeah, like maybe journaling or actively seeking tough feedback, or is it just something that happens, when things go wrong? Reactive, not proactive.
What could change if you consistently worked on these areas?
What impact would that have on your leadership, your growth, the foundations you're trying to build? It feels pretty fundamental.
It really does.
So let's pull these two threads together then. Rule #19, the foundation beneath the structure, and rule #22, the leader inspecting themselves. How do they work together? What's the synergy?
Well, when you look at the big picture, it becomes really clear. You can't separate them, not if you want effective, lasting leadership.
So they're interdependent.
Completely. Think about it. A leader who isn't introspective might rush that foundation work. Why? Because they haven't examined their own impatience, maybe. Or they're biased towards quick, visible results.
They might miss critical flaws because they haven't faced their own blind spots.
Exactly. Or they might build that star team we talked about, but neglect the psychological safety because, well, maybe their own empathy isn't fully developed through self-reflection. The foundation suffers because the builder wasn't self-aware.
Okay, and the other way around. A super introspective leader who maybe doesn't focus on the foundation.
Yeah, it's possible too. Someone might have amazing self-insight, really understand their own patterns, but if they don't apply that to the patient practical work of building shared purpose or clear communication channels,
Then the foundation still doesn't get built properly.
right, they might understand themselves perfectly, but fail to translate that into the necessary groundwork for the team or the project. So Rule #19 tells you what needs building underneath. And Rule #22 ensures the person doing the building has the clarity, the integrity, the self-awareness to do it right.
You really need both. One without the other is incomplete.
For sustainable leadership, yes, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so let's just quickly recap the big takeaways from this deep dive. First, that critical idea from Rule #19. Focus on the invisible foundation, not just the visible structure.
That patient work purpose, safety, communication, values.
And then Rule #22. The immense power of courageous self-introspection for the leader.
Leading to that enhanced self-awareness, better decisions, more empathy, and resilience under stress.
These aren't just nice-to-haves, are they? They feel more like fundamental requirements for leadership that actually endures.
I think so. And maybe a final thought to take away. As you think about the impressive things you want to build, those visible goals, don't forget the quiet, steady work needed on both the foundations of your projects and your own inner landscape. They feed each other. So maybe ask yourself, what's one small piece of foundation or one aspect of introspection that you could prioritize starting today?
Just one small piece. Where could you strengthen things? That's a powerful question.
It is. It's about making it real, making it practical.
A really powerful thought indeed. We hope you'll continue your own deep dive into these ideas, see how they apply to your world. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.